I mean, for anybody that's listening to this, you are not stuck. You are not.
Beautiful.
You need to fully believe that you are not stuck. If I could do it, so could you.
Hey guys, Rick Fan here. Welcome to the Fan of Life channel, Fan of Life show. Today I have a treat for you guys. Definitely a treat for me, so I know it's going to be a treat for you guys. I get a chance to have a conversation with someone that really inspires me and actually is one of my inspirations in terms of real estate and how to build businesses and how to have tenacity in starting, running, and creating a successful enterprise. Lauren Hardy has developed multiple businesses that she has started from the ground up, running on her own, and above all else, she is a devoted mother. And with her success, she is now also going into the realm of coaching and business development. So she can coach and help you specifically in developing a real estate business much like her. And the thing that's cool about her is she's not one of these gurus, right, on YouTube or on social media. Although she has all those platforms, she is a true testament to her own success and her own work. In other words, she is in the trenches. So you will hear her story, hear her point of view on business and in life. And you will notice that I jot down some notes as I was talking to her because she dropped some gems. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Give me some comments. And without further ado, let's welcome Lauren Hardy. First and foremost, welcome to the show. And thank you so much for taking the time because I know you're super busy.
Oh, not too busy for you, Rick. Thanks for
Well,
having me.
well, thank you. So you're obviously a mom because your handle is probably one of the coolest handles and easy to remember. You want to share that with the audience so they can find you after the show?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is This Mom Flips.
Right. And that describes exactly what you do. So before we get into the nitty gritty of your business, let's get to know you a little bit. You want to share a little bit about your background, how you grew up, or what journey have you taken to kind of steer you towards entrepreneurship?
Okay, I love that. I love that question because usually on real estate podcasts, they just talk all real estate stuff and they
Right.
don't ask me about like my background. So I grew up in Southern California. I still live in Orange County. And my parents, they're still together. My dad was a college professor. He was also a CPA and he taught accounting.
Okay.
And my mom worked in IT. She's an immigrant from Iran.
Okay.
So yeah, so grew up, I have a brother. My dad started getting into real estate during the time where he was less interested in being a CPA. He was losing interest in that business. He was already teaching accounting at Cal State Fullerton. He had a really good gig there where he basically taught night classes. So he had a ton of free time to have another side hustle. And the CPA thing was just not, I think, his favorite thing to do.
Okay.
So he started learning about rentals, just buying rentals. And that's what he started doing. I was very young when he got into the rental business, but I still remember it. We would go to Ohio. So he bought rentals in Ohio because he grew up in Ohio.
Okay.
So yeah, so I still remember visiting Ohio because we would visit family, but we had a vacation house in Yurixville, Ohio. I don't want to brag, but small flex there. Like, yeah, we vacationed in Yurixville. It's great. Yeah, he had this little rental portfolio going where he bought, I think, like 20 houses, all kind of in the same small city.
Right.
So, and it was a very small city. Like, I think they lost their local grocery store. Like, it was that small. It was kind of a poor town, but it cash flowed really well. It was something he could do on the side. It brought in extra income and he just loved it. So growing up, I don't necessarily say I took an interest in real estate per se, but he talked a lot about it. He said, if I were to do things over again, I wish I would have done this when I was younger because I would be like so much further off and I'd be doing other things. So he's talked to me a lot about it. He introduced that idea. He was kind of the, rich dad, poor dad sort of mentality where
Sure.
he was the rich dad, like saying, you should
Right.
probably go this direction. He really didn't overly encourage me getting a job
Uh-huh.
or working corporate America or anything like that. Like it was more like you need to figure out how to own rentals.
How did
So
your mom handle that? You said your mom is an immigrant from Iran, right?
yeah, so she's more like,
Right.
it is more intuitive for her to go to college and get
Mm.
a job and work, corporate life. That's more intuitive to her, but she was very encouraging to not be like her.
Oh, good.
Because she worked really hard. She worked about 65 hours a week.
Wow.
So yeah, I definitely, would say my mom is the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. And she told me at a young age, you will never work the way I do because you're smarter than me.
Hmm.
And I, it's like sad to hear that, but that's what she always said. Because I said, Mom, I don't want to work like you.
Right.
You work way too much. She would miss things. She missed a lot of, moments of being a parent, because
Mm.
she was always at work. So she worked the weekends. She worked crazy hours till 10 o'clock at night some nights.
Right.
So she always said that. She was like, you're going to find a way to work smarter. So I had really good parents that pushed me to be an entrepreneur. I'm very, very lucky in that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Absolutely. And I asked that question about the whole corporate schooling and corporate because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm Asian. And so there is that hey, you're supposed to be, we came here first generation, you're supposed to be a doctor, a lawyer, so threw that out the window.
Right?
Yeah, big disappointment in my family, but that's another story later. We're cool now. We're great now. But no, it's very rare to have parents so supportive because the reality of entrepreneurship is, people always see the end result, but not a lot of people see the struggle and everything else in between, right? The sleepless nights, maybe the tears in the shower, and I'm talking for myself, you
Yeah.
know. But you want to share any of that with you? So how's your transition along the way in building your business?
You know, I love that you touched on that, like tears in the shower, because it also made me think about tears in the shower when I had a job and I had an
Mm,
awful boss. So it's like pick what you want to cry about,
right,
okay? Because you're gonna
right,
cry either way.
right.
So pick what you feel like crying about. Is it that you're not sure when your next check is gonna come?
Mm,
Or is it that you are owned, somebody owns you and is abusive, abusing you, not
right.
respecting you? I think we all have had crappy jobs. I
Hmm.
think, we can all look back, like if you've been working and you're maybe 30, let's say 35 years old, by now you've had a crappy job, I'm sure.
Sure, sure.
And there's been a time where you're like, I hate this job, and a job maybe brought you to tears, right?
A couple, but yeah,
For sure, for
sure.
sure. So, I mean, I had that. My journey, I didn't just start out as an entrepreneur. So I did start out in the corporate world. It's just what you do, right?
Right.
You get some work experience. So I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur. I really didn't know that was in me. I thought I was going to be like this badass, like commercial real estate broker,
Mm,
the only female in the office because it was such a male dominated industry. And I was like, I'm going to prove that
right.
wrong. I'm going to be
Power suit and everything, right?
yeah, power suit. Like it's, what, women can do this business
Yeah.
too. And like, whatever. So I thought that's actually what I first got into was commercial real estate.
Okay.
And it was during the time of the recession. So it was really tough to be in that business, like economy wise. It was just
Hmm.
very, very difficult. So I got really, really lucky and got a job in corporate real estate for Subway restaurants. I was on the
Hmm.
tenant side. So we were doing franchise development. We were building the Subway restaurants. We were finding the locations. I was negotiating leases. That was a really exciting and fun job.
Yeah.
So, I had some amazing work experience, but along the way, I also had some really bad bosses, mainly one I can think of that like was driving me to never want to be owned again. I would every Sunday get the Sunday blues, knowing
Mm,
that I had to go back in that office and face that guy again. So I had some, experiences, some major experiences that made me go, I am never going to put myself in this situation. I'm going to figure out a way where
Wow.
nobody can ever treat me this way again. So in my head, like I always was like, how could I own this company? Like that was always where my brain would go. That was more of just like how I think.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just the motivation of having the bad boss, but it was also like I was just interested, like how do they make money owning Subway restaurants? Like how do franchisees make money? And then how does the development company make money? And then how does the franchisor make money?
Mm-hmm.
I was so interested. I deep dove into like the owner of Subway, Fred DeLuca. He passed away, years ago, but
Yeah.
at the time he owned it, and like how he started this franchise idea. I mean, I just learned everything I could about franchising. Thought it was really, really interesting. So business interested me in general, combined with the motivation of having a horrible boss.
Right.
And then also combined with, I had my daughter. So I was I had a new child. At this
Uh-huh.
time, she's now like, it's kind of started around when I got pregnant. That was when the mistreatment happened.
Uh,
Um, yeah, because I was like A+ employee, always able to do anything. And then I'm
mm,
pregnant. And now they were like, oh gosh, she's going on maternity leave. And then the treatment was very different.
hmm.
So I, getting pregnant and then seeing how I got treated so differently. And then I had my daughter, and having to put my daughter in daycare for so many hours a day. And,
Yeah.
I would just miss her like all day long. Like I was like, I just wish I could just like go and I could just see her, like why do I have to go like 8 hours and not see this poor little thing? I was back at work literally 6 weeks after I gave birth. Like I had the shortest maternity leave because I was scared I was going to get fired out of like retaliation for having a
Right.
baby.
Right.
And in that environment, no joke, it was that like you actually would think that like
Wow.
it was crazy. So I went back to work like 6 weeks, like as soon as I could. And I felt like awful, like giving my babies to this stranger to watch her all day. I just didn't want to live that way. I didn't want to mother my children that way. I didn't want to miss the big important moments of their life. So I was driven to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a big social life at that time. I literally researched businesses that I could start all day long. Like any moment I could, I was like, I will think of something. I'll find something to sell. I will find a way to
Right.
replace my income so I can stay home with this child. So it just so happened my brother started flipping houses before me.
Okay.
My older brother started flipping houses. He's similar, like similar brain of didn't want to work for someone. He just,
Mm,
that's not his thing. He wants to work for himself, and he's a total entrepreneur at heart. And he taught me the house flipping business. And that's how I got started. So I was like, okay, like I didn't even question it. I was just like, oh, that means I don't have to have a job. Done. Okay,
right.
I'll do
Right.
that. Did not watch house flipping shows, did not have any interest. Like I didn't
Yeah.
care about that. It was just, oh, okay. So that means I could probably stay home with my kid.
Right.
Done.
Right. Right. Well, I'll be honest. The fact that you didn't watch any of those shows probably helped you succeed because those shows are not real. Sorry to tell the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
Um,
They sell the dream.
yeah. Yeah. I want to touch on something really quick. So, obviously, you having your daughter, correct? Your
Mhm.
first daughter, really pumped up the motivation, and it gave you a different reason outside yourself. And we hear that over and over when someone becomes a parent. But the reality of is there's a saying that says, most men and women live a life of quiet desperation. And I probably just butchered that saying, but the majority of people feel stuck. So for you, how did you make that decision to not be stuck? Because your story is a story of 1,000 moms, hundreds of thousand moms out there. So what do you think the difference for you was that you took action?
you know, I mean, for anybody that's listening to this, you are not stuck. You are not.
Beautiful.
You need to fully believe that you are not stuck. If I could do it, so could you. So I
Mm,
looked around and I said, well, how did that guy do it? How did that girl do it? So hearing, the other people's story, I would ask other entrepreneurs, like, how'd you do it? How'd you get started? at the time, I remember working at the job I had, we outsourced a general contractor and it was a female owned company. This woman,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, she was so inspirational to me. She was the kindest person. She was extremely busy, but would still take the time out of her day to talk to little old me, who really she
Hmm.
had no reason to. It didn't benefit her at all to talk to an employee of the company. She would, mentor, give advice. She was incredible. She was also stunningly gorgeous. She
Hmm.
was just a badass, right? Like just boss,
Right.
badass, two kids. I love her. Still this day, I think very, very highly of her. And I started asking her about just how did you get started? Like you're in a male dominated industry. Like she owns a construction company that does commercial construction, focuses on tenant improvements. It's all commercial, it's all men. And
Hmm.
she's the only female contractor. And she has this big company who she owns her office. So cool.
Right.
And
Right.
she told me, she's like, I started this business on my kitchen table when I was 25 years old. And it was
Wow.
because I had my kid. It was my story. No
Right.
joke.
Right.
My story. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 25 years old. Like I was like, and literally I started flipping houses like at 25 on my kitchen table. Like
Wow.
that was her. So seeing that really, I envisioned it. And I really believe that like you have to like envision yourself being that person. So her name is Cheryl Osborne. I'm going to name drop her. She's a badass. Just look her
I'm
up.
gonna look her up for sure.
Casco Contractors. She's amazing.
That's awesome.
And I literally envisioned myself like being in Cheryl's office, but it's my office.
Hmm.
Like, and I mean, it sounds very like The Secret, which I don't
No,
buy
no, no. I
at
get
all.
it.
But
Yeah.
like, I just was like, I envisioned myself being there. And it's crazy because now I look, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm like, I mean, I might not be quite as close to Cheryl, but I've got a
Mhm.
lot of things going. And I'm like actually seeing that I could be like Cheryl in the next few years. Like it's crazy.
That's
So
beautiful.
you can really manifest it if you truly believe you are not like, if you think you're a bird in the cage, you are so wrong. That door to the cage is open. You're just stuck. You're just sitting there for some reason. It's
That
out there.
I love what you said that, and I don't want people that are listening to take what you just said and what your actions for granted, because that saying, your network is your net worth, is so true.
Mhm.
And whatever it is that you want to go out and you achieve, you need to look at your surroundings, right? And if the
Mhm.
relationships that you have, regardless of whether you love them as a person, as people, if they're not where you want to be or who you want to become or like, you need to go out and cultivate that relationship. And and speak on this, because that sounds like a perfect example of that. But I feel that, in my goal, reaching out to people like you, successful people, audience, you guys will be shocked when people are truly successful and they're happy. They are more than happy to bring you along, to give you the 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes conversation to kind of help you, because successful people like to see other people succeed. Do you find that to be true?
I think so. I think truly successful people, they are willing to share. They don't feel as threatened.
Hmm.
I think that there are times, I admit, like you might catch me at the wrong time where I'm really busy with my two kids.
Sure.
I've got a pressing business issue that's like mission critical, and I can't give you as much time. I can't be as like I maybe more open because I just don't have the time and I'm only one person.
Hmm.
I struggle with in this day and age with social media. So like, for example, back then when Cheryl and, was my like just idol, we didn't really have Instagram. Like Instagram wasn't really that popular. It was, but it was not like
Like
how it
this
is
now.
today. There's no
Yeah.
influencers. It wasn't like that. It was still very new. And same with
Right.
Facebook. It was like just not as like people in your face and this constant pressure to be like responding to DMs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
You just weren't as exposed with social media back then. So like Cheryl, she would see me because we're just in the same building and we just got finished with the meeting. And then she took an extra 15 minutes to talk to me after. Like that's something that I deeply appreciated that she didn't have to do. But it didn't also, it was kind of in the flow of her day.
Hmm.
for what I struggle with right now is that with social media, people can get a hold of me in all different directions. There's the
Sure.
Facebook direct message, then there's like that hidden direct message that nobody sees. I don't know where, you know, the hidden messages.
It goes into either. Yeah.
It goes into that box, which I don't
Yeah.
understand. And
Yeah.
then there's like your DMs on Instagram.
Uh,
You know, then there's people that get a hold of my email address. So it's really hard to reply to everybody, and everybody wants to pick my brain. You know, everybody
mm,
wants to get on the phone and pick my brain. So I've had to have boundaries where I just flat out say no, because I can't really treat like one person better than the other. It's not that I even say no. I actually have now a virtual assistant that just answers all of those DMs from all of those platforms and is like, listen, we get
mm,
these requests every day. You know, love you so much. Here's my YouTube channel. If you want some videos, like they will help you.
right.
Free advice here on YouTube. If you are interested in my, you know, mentoring, you have to apply on this website. Like I put a funnel.
Hmm.
I hate it. I hate that I have to do that. But I also would never, if I was walking down the hallway and somebody said, oh my gosh, Lauren, oh my
Hmm.
God, you know, hey, like, can I just ask you a really quick question? Like, I would never go, oh, I'm sorry, I'm too busy, you know,
Right. Right.
never, you know,
No, I
so
get it. I get it though, but because you have to protect your sovereignty, I mean, that's that. If you can't protect, especially when you're around with your kids, I can only imagine. I mean, that time and who you are at the end of the day, you're Lauren above everything else. Yes, you're an entrepreneur, you flip houses and all that, but you're Lauren, you're a mom, right? So you got to
yeah,
protect that. I think if you don't protect that, then the quality of what you want to give to your students or people that follow you, it's gonna go down in quality because you're not at 100%. So I don't think you should feel guilty for that. um, so let me ask you this: in your journey to entrepreneurship, as things progress, the lessons you've learned, what are some of the key things that kind of pop out in your mind as far as lessons that are pretty poignant in your milestones? Any tidbits you want to share?
oh gosh, you know, I think right now, I mean, let's fast forward. I could talk about all sorts of lessons I learned, you know, back
Hmm.
in the day, but right now I've been in a pivotal moment of growing pains, like
Mm,
big time, just growing pains this year. I used to just have one company that I
right.
ran, you know, and that was my focus. And that was just one thing. I did one thing and I, you know, just had to focus on all the fires that would come up with one
Right.
thing.
Right.
And then I got asked to come out with a coaching program and coach for a very well-known educator, an
Hmm.
education company. And I said, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Like I'll do that. And that's, you know, a huge undertaking. And I knew before I signed in, I was like, okay, how many hours do you think this will be a week? And like, let me see if I can manage this with being, you know, a single mom. And, you know, like I was like, oh, am I going to be able to like even see my kids? Is this going to be like
Right.
overloaded with work all the time? And you know, I got some systems in place to you know be able to fit both in, hired people where I needed to hire, but it was still like a huge undertaking. I feel like it's a big moment of growing pains.
Hmm.
And I'm what I did now, I would say for a year of launching this coaching program, we did amazing. We did phenomenally well. If I look at the video qualities that I did a year ago, they're so cringy to
Right.
now. Like
Right.
I've really grown, and I've grown a lot in one year.
Hmm.
But I also, there were some things where I'm the bottleneck to my growth.
Mm. Okay.
And so what I did, I realized like, cause I kept getting like opportunity after opportunity thrown at me. And
Hmm.
I'm like, yes, yes, I want to do that. I want to do that. That'll, you know, and these are opportunities that create revenue streams
Sure.
for me. But then I go, I can't fulfill it. I can't finish the project. I, I want to say yes, but I can't do it, you
Hmm.
know, because I'm running these other companies. So I did something really cool. I didn't think that my outcome would be this, but I joined a high level mastermind, which I'm not normally that type of person.
Hmm.
I'm not really the like mastermind group type of person. I always
Right.
thought they seemed just really weird to me and
Right.
cheesy. I did not know what they were about,
Uh-huh.
but I saw other high level people go into them. And
Right.
on social media. So I was like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this high level mastermind thing. So
Mm-hmm.
I did join one that a lot of people I knew were in. And I went to the first mastermind meeting in Florida just like about a month ago. And I got to like work out, say my morning workout at the hotel gym, there'd be a couple people there and we would shoot the shit and talk
Mm-hmm.
and, what are you doing that's working for you? Or how do you just time manage? And I had some really good conversations. Like one guy owns 9 companies, and I was
Yeah.
like, listen, I don't own 9. I own now a few companies, but not 9. Like,
Right.
how do you do this and stay sane? Like, who puts out the fires? Like, I feel like every day I have 3 new fires within these companies and I can't address them in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh yeah, you have to have an implementer. So it was like him. I asked another high level person and another like high level person. And literally the same thing was always implementer, implementer, implementer. So I'm like, okay, so I need an implementer.
Right. Right.
So this is the new thing I'm very interested in right now. So that's why I'm talking about this versus something that was 7 years ago.
No, I hear you.
I'm trying to find, that right person, maybe somebody with operations experience, management experience to help implement, these projects and handle,
Mm-hmm.
the fires. So I don't need to be the one that does them because I'm the bottleneck and I'm actually now losing money
Right.
because I'm the bottleneck.
Right.
And that's terrible versus you hire an implementer and then you make maybe 4 times as much money as the investment of the person
Mm-hmm.
because you now aren't the bottleneck anymore. So yeah, so I heard now I have not finished the book Traction, but
I was
everybody
gonna
that
bring
gave
that
me
up.
this advice, everybody was like, you
Mm-hmm.
have to read Traction. I got Traction years ago. Clearly, I should have finished it because I wouldn't be here where I am
Right.
today, probably had I did.
Right.
So I'm literally like, I've been looking for that book in my house. I recently moved and I'm still in we still have some boxes of like the old stuff that you just don't have to
Sure.
clean yet. And I'm like, it's in one of these 4 boxes.
Well, let me know if you can't find it. I'll send you the book.
I
It's
know.
a
I should just order a darn new one.
right. It's a
But yeah,
continue.
so apparently this is all about, this is a Traction thing,
Mm-hmm.
implementer, EOS. Like, I'm like, okay, I am going to take some time to figure this out because this was an amazing year, but it was also kind of painful.
Right.
There's
Right.
been some growing pains.
Yeah, you can't. It's very difficult, and I'm learning this too at a stage where we're figuring out how we're going to scale, and we brought in some mentors and stuff like that as well to do so. But yeah, it's very difficult to be the visionary slash dreamer and the executor as well. So
Yeah.
you need to find really someone with the same vision but the polar opposite of you.
Yeah.
That check and balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, I had a privilege to interview. I've been in martial arts all my life, and I had a privilege to interview my master instructor about 2 episodes past. He has built a 40 something plus school, martial arts school empire, and through the course of 40 plus years. And I asked him what the secret is, and he said it's the partnership. One needs to be the visionary and one needs to be the executor. So you're right. No matter what industry, that theme seems to be. You need the Wozniak to the Jobs, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I was interviewing Tarek El
Oh
Moussa with
yeah.
HGTV,
Yeah.
you know? And I said, like off the air, it was off the air. I go,
Mhm.
Tarek, what is your advice for me? Because like you're a high level person.
Mhm.
What would you say to me who's someone who just kind of now is getting into that higher level, where I'm owning now multiple companies, not just one? Like, what's your number one advice? He's like, hire a number 2. And I was like,
Mm.
what? What's that?
Yeah.
And that's what he meant. He was like,
Right.
hire somebody who's smart, like a really strong person that is going to be your partner. Like,
Mhm.
and it has to be a smart, very, very sharp person that can execute all these things that you're throwing at them. I was
No,
like,
well, there you go. If you don't
okay.
find the book by end of today, I'll send you one. That book,
I
so you
know.
can read it again.
I know.
I'll make a note.
I know what box it's in. And it's funny because it's been
Yeah,
one of those books that like I read like some of it and it was just kind of dry.
it
So
is. It is. Yeah, it is. So business aside, you are a mother of 2, correct?
yes.
So what do you guys do? And both daughters?
Yeah.
So what do you guys do? What do the trio for fun?
What do we do so we recently moved to the beach.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
so fun. So we moved to Huntington Beach. We used to live
Love it.
like about 20 minutes inland, 30 minutes inland.
Hmm.
It was more of like suburban neighborhood, and not for me. Like I'm a beach girl. I love, the restaurants that are by the beach. I'm very
Right,
social. Like, so I'm more of a like out and about, let's be social and do
right,
stuff.
right.
So yeah, we just moved down to the beach. They've been loving it. We take our dog out, to the dog park. They have dog beach. It's a beach with dogs. And you can take them out there. And we do lots of just nights of walking down our street and going to the beach. And they're still at
Hmm.
that really, fun young age where jumping in the ocean with their clothes on is like their favorite thing to do right
Right,
now, where we're not going in. Okay, they're in. And like that's like their favorite thing right
right.
now. They're
How old are they?
super, they're 7 and 10.
Okay, so they're not too cool for mom yet.
Not too cool.
That's
Yeah. But
awesome.
I'd like to argue they have a cool mom.
Hey, I agree. I agree.
I know. I was like, like you actually have a way cooler mom than
then,
mine.
then you realize, well,
My
good,
mom
good,
was
because
like this, like Iranian, like it's
right,
very strict, totally came from a different country, like
right.
hard to relate to, when you've got when you have immigrant parents, it's
I
very
do.
hard. It's hard
Yeah.
to relate to them sometimes
Al-
because you're growing up here and they don't get it.
Although they recently retired, I got them to move here, and I got them to move 10 minutes away from me, and they have a better social life than I do at this point.
Oh,
At
yeah.
70, I'm like, where were these people when I was growing up?
Oh,
But
that's funny.
no, it's a good full circle. I won't keep you too much longer, but I want to hit a couple of points here. So, talk to me. We touched on family a little bit, and obviously, your daughters are your inspiration, your motivation. You're an entrepreneur. You're building various businesses. You're a coach. You're a mentor. At the end of the day, life kind of takes us in various directions. I'm assuming if I, had the DeLorean and go back in time, and I said this was going to be your life in 2021, you'd be like, huh? How's that even possible? So give people some hope out there that basically, like you said earlier, you're not stuck, but elaborate on that. There's always that thing where people say, hey, follow your passion, follow your dreams. How realistic is that? And how does one shift their mind into really doing that? Because at the end of the day, we got one life. We got one go around at this, right? How do we make the most of it? I guess is the question.
Right. Well, I have the privilege of coaching a lot of different people, and I get to see different personality types, and I get to see who makes it and who doesn't.
Mm.
And it's starting to become a predictable thing for me where I
Is
can
it?
almost, yeah,
Okay.
where I can almost tell, the type of person after interacting with them for a while. And I would say that tenacity is a
Mm.
very important quality that you need to have. And if you don't have it, you need to find a way to grow it or somehow motivate yourself in a way that motivates you. Figure out what motivates you to be tenacious. What I mean by that is you need to not give up. Like if you hit a roadblock, you need to figure out how to go around that roadblock. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
to figure out, jump over it. Do I go around it? Who do I call? There's the who, like who can I call? Who can fix this problem? Who can give me some advice? That's so important. I always relied on who. Anytime I had something come up in my life, I'll give you an example right now. There's a lot of TCPA changes, and one of my businesses uses a lot of cold calling and text messaging. And
Mm-hmm.
I heard on Friday from someone just kind of randomly, hey, heard that this is basically going to get taken away.
Yeah.
The fine is going to be really big if you keep
Right.
doing it, blah, 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 blah. Well, the who that's great that I knew people that kind of gave me an idea that it might be happening. So it was on my radar, like, okay, then I know the other who to contact, a SCC attorney,
Mm-hmm.
and I scheduled an appointment on Thursday for $350 to actually get the facts.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to do things like that. Like that's
Right.
tenacity. So a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people would just give up, just like, oh my gosh, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're done. Well, tenacity is picking up the phone, finding the right person to consult with and seeing, is this really an issue, or are there workarounds? Are there things we need to know? Just, hey, well, you can do this, and this, but don't do that. So, that's tenacity. A lot of people don't have that. I've
Wow.
seen it in my own, coaching program where they get a roadblock and then
Hmm.
they come to me and they want me to solve that roadblock. I'm like, well, I can't do that for every student. Like but I can tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Here's the who, call this person or do this, but you have to actually do it. And a lot of people don't have that. So figure out, are you tenacious just by nature? I am.
Hmm.
Some people are. You probably are. You wouldn't have a podcast if you, weren't.
Hmm.
But some people just are not, tenacious. And then they have to figure out other ways to motivate themselves.
That's a great point. So, do you believe that? So, is drive, tenacity, all the qualities of quote unquote a successful person? Is that born? Is that something you're born with, or can you really truly develop? What's your belief on that?
Hmm.
Don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I kind of think you're born with it.
Hmm.
I truly do. So I pay attention to a lot of matters that have to do with the
Sure.
mind and mental health.
Hmm.
I'm very passionate about it. My daughter, my oldest one, has ADHD.
Okay.
And, when you have kids, they don't come with manuals. And she was my first child. And I'm going, this is so weird. Like, I'm reading the books and she's not responding the way the books are saying she's
Mm.
supposed to respond.
Right.
What is going on?
Right.
Let's buy another book. And I would buy parenting book after parenting book. And, I just kept thinking, it must be us. It must be us. Like, why, what's going on? And it wasn't until, a little bit later that, teachers had said, you need to get her evaluated. She has ADHD, and it is, and we're living with it. And
Hmm.
she, I see that certain tasks are hard for her and it creates resistance. So it looks like from the outside that she's being lazy, or it looks like she just doesn't want to do it.
Right.
But it's in fact that her brain has a very hard time motivating her to do that task. And we are actually doing further testing now to really dial in. Again, I'm new with this journey of,
Yeah.
parenting a child with ADHD. But we are going through psychological testing to like actually see like what is the root cause, because it could be she has a learning disability that we don't realize,
Hmm.
right? So certain things were hard. It could be, something where auditory processing, like she's hearing, she has trouble like actually receiving the message. She can
Right.
hear you, but she doesn't understand what you're saying. So, there's things that are like, it creates resistance. So so from the outside, it looks like she's lazy. She's resistant to doing what she's supposed to do. She doesn't want it. She's being hard headed. I mean,
Hmm.
right. And it always made me so angry, hearing, because grandparents would say stuff and, people would make comments and I would say, no, she can't help it.
Right.
Like she's not choosing to be this way. Trust me, because she wants to do well.
Right.
I had heard from a doctor, children do well when they can. And I believe that with adults. It's not just children.
Yes. Yes.
It's true with adults. And I've seen it. So it's made me so passionate because I've taken a lot of time to research mental health and executive functioning and things that people are like, what does that even mean? But I had to learn about it because of my daughter. I look around at the adults around me and I'm like, yeah, it's not that they don't want to be successful, be an entrepreneur. It's that they can't. They don't
Mm.
have the tools. So what we're trying to do, with my daughter is at a young age, identify the areas that are weak, in
Mm.
her, in her mental health. And, there's some maybe signals aren't going the right direction or whatever. Identify the areas that are weak and then get therapy to help her learn how to overcome those areas. So when you're looking at yourself, I think a lot of adults really have a hard time being introspective and admitting that maybe they have some weaknesses.
Sure.
I can't tell you how many family members came to me later and they're like, I think I have ADHD now that I think about it.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm glad that me being open and honest about that story with my kid is like maybe makes some people think about it. It's not your
Absolutely.
it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you have something that creates a lot of resistance for you to focus on something that is
Mhm.
not something you're actually motivated to do. Um, so it's a chemical imbalance, it's brain signals, it has nothing, it's not your fault. So maybe tenacity like is hard for you. It's
Mhm.
hard for you to self motivate when it's an area that doesn't interest you.
Mhm.
So you need to find that workaround, and then you need to self motivate, use like whatever does interest you, like hyper focus on that. Maybe it's hiring out what you're weak in, maybe finding somebody, maybe find a business partner, or
Right.
hire out the areas of weakness and do that deep dive internally. Like, what are you weak in? What do you need help in? So I do think you're born with it. I think some people are born with, I don't want to say better brain. It's not better or worse, but brain chemistry that allows them to self motivate, even if it's something that's boring and
Right.
monotonous,
Right.
which I feel like I have. Some people are born with that type of brain chemistry, which we might call the word tenacity. We might say
Mhm.
tenacity. And then some people are born with brain chemistry that makes it more difficult. Just because you're not born with it, though, doesn't mean that's a death sentence.
Right.
It just means now you need to be self-aware, do that deep dive, and figure out, how can you get past these roadblocks?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I think also it's, going back to what you're saying, is it the brain chemistry? Is it the way I'm communicating? I think everybody has a unique language, and I'm not talking about, the verbal language, the English language or whatever. It's actually how you process the world. And
Mhm.
if you can help people, if you can figure out the way people's language are, I think that's a key in, and that's a key in negotiating. You know this, right? Yeah, that's a key in educating and mentoring as well too. If you can find the magic formula in communicating that proper language to them, so they can understand and pull out the best in them, I think that's the secret sauce in it. But let me do this. I want to make sure that I ask you this on your daughter's behalf, and I don't know them because a lot of people always go, "Well, give me a tidbit for business, give me this and that." We've done that. You being a mom, I am assured that that's your number one priority. So when it's all said and done, what life lessons would you want your daughters to know? And if they know this lesson, they live by this lesson, you would 100% feel that you've been successful as a mother. What would that be? Because I think that's going to be huge for everybody. So if you were talking to your daughters, what would that life lesson be?
Because you're putting me on the spot, I'm just going with the first thing that
Please.
comes into my head.
Hmm.
Something that really helps me in times of stress, or when I'm worrying about something. I like to ask myself, in 5 years, will this matter?
Oh.
So if you can in any moment really of your day, try to
Mm,
be really present in that moment, and then go like, in 5 years, is this going to matter? Really? Should I be spending my time on this?
right.
You could use it for, yeah, like time allocation. Like, should I really be spending my time even worrying about this stupid problem that's, not even going to matter, in
Right.
5 years? But mostly it comes handy when you're hit with, something that's like sinks your stomach, or
Mm,
something, really bad news, something about your business, you got sued. Like, believe it or not, you can get sued in 5 years. It won't matter at all.
sure.
So,
Sure.
you might think something's a catastrophe, but in 5 years, it's probably not going to matter, So it kind of
Love that.
helps me allocate. I don't know what kind of podcast this is, but how many F's I can give
Yeah.
to certain situations. So it helps me allocate my FUCKs.
Right.
Like,
Right. You
yeah.
can say it, by the way.
Okay.
Uh, no, no, that's beautiful. And I think, what's ironic about that is, as adults, I think we do give too many fucks.
Yeah.
I think we do. And gosh, man, 24 hours a day, 365, you got to allocate your time. Going back to
Mhm.
what I was saying earlier about having your own sovereignty, is you got to have your own space, your own mindset, mind space, and everything like that. And that 5-year question is great. That's a great reminder for even me. So I thank you for that. Um, hopefully we will be able to do this again. Like I said, I know your time is super valuable. Um, Tell me or tell the audience one more time where they can find you. And then as far as your mentorship program, feel free to talk a little bit about that, where they can find you, your program and what is it that you do. And
Yeah.
hopefully we get some
So
eyeballs on you.
if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I handle This Mom Flips.
Hmm.
And I also have a YouTube channel, and that is also titled This Mom Flips by Lauren Hardy. So you should be able to find me there. I am a wholesaling coach, virtual investing coach. So I teach how to invest in real estate outside of your backyard. So we'll bring it full circle, just like my dad invested in Ohio while we lived in Southern California. I coach that exact thing. So never in a million years would I have thought at like 10 years old, when my dad was taking me to these homes in Ohio, that like I would be in a like where I would have a coaching program that taught people
Right.
how to do that. I mean, so full circle and so just crazy to think. But it was a niche that I fell into, not because of my dad, out of necessity. Southern California is very difficult to invest here. It's hard to flip houses. It's hard to find any deals, super high price, super expensive, but it's not like that everywhere in the country. So I picked up and I went to other states and made our business work in other states. And at that point, once I gained some traction, I put a course together on how to do it so people don't make the same mistakes I did over those years
Mm.
of learning it. So yeah, I've got this course. It's awesome. It's a coaching program. We coach with Wholesaling Inc. They have a podcast as well if you want to check it out. It's called Wholesaling Inc. And you can find out more about my program at www.virtualinvestingmastery.com.
And let me add one last thing for everybody. When seeking out a coach, don't seek out a coach for the sake of a coach. Lauren is the real deal. She is an active investor, and that's huge because there's a lot of coaching gurus out there, but she is an active investor. So she's in the trenches. And if you're going to learn from somebody, learn from someone that's in the trenches. So, Ms. Lauren, thank you so much. You made my day. Hopefully we can do this again. I am going to continue to follow you and be inspired by you. And I promise that there are a bunch of people that continue to basically feel the same way and just keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully we can connect again soon.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.